session 3 of The Grace of God. Now there's a Christian teacher by the name of R.C. Sproul, and he tells this story of how when he was first teaching in the theological seminary, he had first year students there, and the first thing he said to them was, look, at the end of this first month there will be a paper, and I expect it in on the end of the month. The end of the second month there will be a paper, and I expect it in on time. The end of the third month there will be a paper, and I expect it in on time. If you don't get them in on time, he said, you'll get an F. Came the first month, the end of the first month, he got, out of his 250 students, he got 225 papers. The other 25 said, oh, well, you know, this is our first year out of high school and we weren't as organised, we didn't know how to be so organised. And he said, all right, I'll give you 3 days. Come the end of the second month, and there were 200 of the 250 papers. And there were all sorts of excuses. Oh, it's midterm, it's, you know, we've had this and that and the other thing to do. And he said, okay, I'll give you 3 more days. The third time, he only got 100 papers. And he looked at one of the students who hadn't handed in a paper, and he says, where's your paper? And the guy said, oh, look, it's okay, Prof, I'll have it for you in a couple of days. And he said, no, and proceeded to give him an F. And one of the other students called out and said, that's not fair. And so R.C. Sproul said, so you want justice? And the student said, yes. He said, well, I note that last month your paper was late, so I'll change your mark to an F. There was a bit of a stunned silence in the room. And he said it was like they'd got hold of the song from My Fair Lady and turned it into, I've grown accustomed to your grace. You see, the first time they were given extra time, they thought they had the best professor in the world. The second time, they just assumed they were going to get that grace. But come the third time and they were demanding it, they saw it as an entitlement. If we see that we are owed something, then that is not grace. Our danger is assuming that the grace of God is our entitlement, and we start to demand the grace. Instead, the grace of God should amaze us astoundingly. It should lead us to an attitude of overwhelming gratitude. We know that Jesus dealt with our sin on the cross, but it can become very easy for us to see sin as something, oh, don't worry too much, we can just take it to Jesus, it's dealt with. Well, it's a truth, but it's dangerous for us to lose the sense of seriousness of our sin and start to take the cross for granted. Now, I've told the story of a Nazi prison camp where 10 men were picked out quite arbitrarily to be locked in a room and starved to death as punishment for some other prisoners who tried to escape. One of the men chosen was absolutely distraught, and there was a priest there by the name of Maximilian Kolbe, and he said to this man, don't worry, I'll take your place. He did. He was locked in the room with the 10 men who eventually died. I wonder how that man felt towards Kolbe. And I don't think he just said, oh, thanks, mate, that's really good of you. I think he would have been overwhelmed. I think he would have had a gratitude that lasted the rest of his life. We can't take lightly what Jesus has done for us.
Who can know the mind of our Creator? Who can speak of wonders yet unseen? Who can read the height of understanding, to play the notes of wisdom's melody? Who has weighed the dust of every mountain? Who has wrought the mysteries of the deep? Who has laid the earth on its foundation? Who conducts the waves along the sea? I stand I stand in awe.